Welcome back to the channel, Exiles. In this week's video we are presenting the update to last week's video for the Gemling Legionnaire Spark Mana Stacker. In last week's video we presented a 30 Divine budget setup that was created by It's Fine OK from our Discord. Thank you very much again for that, buddy. And we presented the main with the written guide, and from that main we are now continuing towards an even stronger version. Now be not afraid, because the most power that we are going to be getting from these changes will not be from crazy expensive updates. More about that after the showcase. Let's go, guys.
Her flesh shall be scorched anew.
As you could see, there have been quite a few changes to the build. In last week's showcase, bosses actually could get one of their abilities off and you might have to survive 1 or 2 hits. In this week's video, they don't get their ability off at all. It's pretty much a one-shot. Now, before we get into the changes that we made specifically with this setup, I want to get into PoB just a little bit to answer some of the questions and to help people help themselves a little bit. If you want us to help you with your setup, it always makes sense that we know what kind of setup you're running, and to that end I'm going to show you guys just quickly how to import your stuff in PoB. Show us the PoB on the Discord so we can answer your questions more informed. We are getting quite a few remarks under the YouTube video stating, I clicked the link and I see an empty tree. With PoB you have to import the links that you see. So how do you do that? You go to the video, you copy the PoB link, which you can do with Ctrl-C or right click and copy, you know, if you're an old guy. And then you go into PoB and do import the link, import the build. Right, that was last week's setup. So this is kind of how you get the setup. Now, before you do that, guys, always make sure everything is up to date, because sometimes certain things aren't calculated in PoB. With the older versions and the new versions, they are doing a fantastic job updating all of this. Do calculate a lot of these things, so keep that in mind. You need to be on that PoB community fork version 0.4.0 right now for PoE 2. The next thing that we're going to be looking at is what to do if we are asking you for your PoB, right? If you have a lot of questions, your damage doesn't seem to be there or anything like that, and we're asking you, okay, make us the PoB of your setup, send it to us so we can take a look. What you do is you go to your items, right here, and you've got like a create here. You can move this to the side so you can see. You got like create custom, and in here you can just create the items that you're using through this. Ctrl-C, your control button, and your C button, copy. Ctrl-V, paste, create, add to build, and it automatically gets added into the weapon slot. For your armor, Ctrl-C, create, Ctrl-V, add to build, and it's automatically added. Helmet, and it's automatically added. So you're going to be doing that for all your gear. And you're going to be doing that for the jewels that you have. For the jewels, it's exactly the same story. Hover over it, make sure you're pointing at it. Ctrl-C. Create the jewel, add to build. Now for the jewels, obviously you will have to put your tree, set up your tree the way we have it set up. And you have to manually put the jewels in each slot. For me personally, I don't need you to do the configuration or anything like that. If you just send us that, and you send us the skills, so in this case that would be Spark that you're going to be using, with the supports that you're using. Click this to add a support. Make sure you have all the supports. Archmage with the support or not if you're using it. If you have a 21 you don't need it. If you have a 20 you might use the Lightning Mastery there, etc. Make sure all those skills are in there, the jewels are in there, the items are in there, and then just do import, generate, PoB in. Right, you can do whatever you want here, but PoE in is what we're using. Share, and either Control-C the link or copy the link and paste it in the Discord with your question. It's going to help us a lot, taking a glance at your build and immediately seeing, okay, these are the changes you could make, etc, etc. If you have any questions about PoB or it's not functioning for you, let me know. Just know this is going to help us help you. Let's take a look at the changes that were made to the build this week. Now, as you can see, we have more than double the damage, actually close to triple the damage. You could see it in the showcases from this week versus previous week. None of the bosses have a chance to even attack anymore. Which also means we will not be making a part 3 video. Instead, I will be presenting those that are hungry for the craziest min-max of min-max possibilities with a theoretically maximum path of building link that they can aspire to. Keep in mind, this is for science only and the budget will be ridiculous. I'm not saying ridiculously cheap, trust me. We're talking mirrors upon mirrors upon mirrors to make that happen. We really don't need to push it anywhere beyond this for 2 reasons. The first reason is you're not going to see any difference in game. You'd be only doing it to boost numbers in PoB. Bosses die instantly anyway, so why triple your damage? Because you can. If you're that kind of guy, that PoB is for you. For me personally, the ability to attain those levels of power would mean weeks, if not months, of farming or flipping or trading to get it together. For me, that is not a motivating thing if I don't see any difference in game, and that's why we won't be making a part 3 showcasing that, but instead giving you guys the PoB. Now let's take a quick look at the changes that we made, and some of these changes are actually pretty much free. One of the changes is, on your second weapon swap, you'll be using a chiming staff with item level 84 giving you a level 19 sigil of power skill. That level 19 sigil of power skill, with a couple of extra levels, turns into 21, which gives us 15% more spell damage per stage, 60% more spell damage in total. Now what does that mean? Right now we have 429k, we put the sigil down, 4 stages before the boss pre-birthed, and you're looking at 686k DPS for a duration of a whopping 27.12 seconds. Now there's no boss that's gonna live that long. The other change that we've made, guys, which is also pretty much free because they're just doing the gems to make it happen, is Soul Offering with the Ablation and Dance Macabre. Both give 30% increased buff effect as long as you target 2 minions. So to that end, guys, we weapon swap again. We have 2 minions through Skeletal Warrior on weapon set 2 only. On weapon set 1 still have cast on Shock and Blink. And we use the Offering. Plop. Now here's the weird thing, right? We put this down, we click the minions, you see the spike, we change back the spark on weapon set 1, but look, the minion buff is still there, right here. And that leads us to having a damage of 1.1 million on our spark, which is absolutely insane and obliterates all content in game. So we are looking at changes that are almost for free. The other thing that we're doing here, guys, is we have changed over, like we said last week, for the min-maxed no Adorned version. We've changed over from the Morior Invictus with all resistances to the Morior Invictus with increased attributes, combined with the mana per socketed rune or soul cause. Now, in order to make this possible, you will have to get 50 of your resistances elsewhere on your gear. You could put 5 all resistances cores in here and you'd only need 25% more resistances of everything. But I wanted to really go for min-maxing on that end. To that end, we've bought rings like these. They are absolutely wild. These two together with the 16 all elemental resistances, you're looking at the resistances that you lose from your chest and then some. Easily capping your resistances. Do you need to go this far? You absolutely don't. Last week's video combined with the skill changes that we just showed will get you to where you want to be for damage and then some. But just know the option is there for extra power. Another thing I've done is I went for an amulet with spirit to make cast on shock and blink possible, so you will see in the showcase that mapping has gotten quite a bit faster and more smooth because of it. An amulet like that is 25 to 30 div, at least that's what I spent for it. If this is too expensive, you can go for an amulet like this, which is a lot cheaper, and it'll have that 60 spirit outright. This one, for those with a keen eye, does not have 60 spirit, and that means I had to put a soul core in there to make that 60 spirit happen. And those are the changes that were made, guys, so there aren't, I'm not gonna make a long video of this, there aren't very many changes made here at all. I will include, though, the new PoB with the new skills, how to set it up, the new nodes, just like we did last week. Make sure that everybody is up to date with all the increases of power that they can get for a relatively low price, and some of the changes we made that are more pricey. For these, you gain almost 3 times your DPS, and the changes that we made with the Morior and the 2 rings and the Amulet, it's up to you whether you want to make that sacrifice. For me, it was just to see what was possible without Adorned as a theoretical max. It's not needed. You can stay with last week's video just fine and have a blast with the minor changes that we made and have some fun with that. We're gonna quickly dive into the PoBs that we have and show you guys the changes that we've made. These are the nodes from the first guide. I will leave those in there. And these are the nodes all the way down for the version 2.0. As you can see, there's not many changes happening, but damage has gone through the roof. Now these are near free changes over here. These are investment needed for blink, cast on shock ads that we have over here, where you would need to get 60 spirit, as we are showing on the amulet section of the guide. It'll be in the timeline for you guys to check that out. And the optional but powerful changes that we've shown as well, but these are going to be expensive, right? The Morior Invictus changes, the ring changes, all that kind of good stuff is in the guide as well, but these are optional. I think if you just do this, you're going to find out that the build that was already really strong from last week is going to be tripling in power. So these are the changes. The changes are also reflected in the skill section. Blink is disabled. If you want to enable blink for mapping, just turn off cast on shock and turn on blink, like that. And the skeletal warrior is in here. It's disabled, it's on the second weapon set. If we enable it now, it's gonna be too much spirit. The soul offering is there with its links, and the sigil of power is there with the link as well, the magnified effect. So this is it, pretty much for the changes made. The items that we've made, the new changes are in there, but I left the old items in there as well. So you guys can just kind of check out, okay, what was the old item he was using, what's the new item. Every changes we've made on top of the old PoB, so you guys can check back what we had before that. Same obviously goes for the Morior Invictus that we had, which was the elemental resistances, and now it is the attributes. And then we have this. And this is for the mirror swimmers, like we said before. I'm not gonna go into all the details, just know this is a theoretical maximum version of the build. And this is going to be more mirrors than I've seen in any league before. I know some of you out there are wealthy as hell. If you're one of those big boys, this PoB is for you. It'll still be difficult to attain, but it's possible to attain. And we're looking at amulets like this, right? +3 all with the spirit, your attributes, deep mana, and flat mana. It's just, it's dumb. We're looking at the rings I have, but with corruptions with int. We're looking at Adorned and jewels like this with movement speed and bonuses from equipped quiver. And at that point, you know, if you set it all up like that, you have a level 40 spark. So you can get to level 40 setting it up like this, but it's absolutely redonkulous. And in the notes, it says it very clearly, this PoB is only for science. So don't give me any shit in the comments, guys. I know this is stupid expensive. It's just to see the theoretical max possible. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about this build, or if your setup doesn't seem to be up to par or performing where you expected it to perform based on the showcases that you've seen, send us your PoB on Discord and we take a look at it without any issues. If you have any trouble setting up the PoB, check out in the timeline of this video the section, the mini PoB guide on how to do that as well, and you'll be fine. We are looking right now for a new build to mess around with. It's probably not going to be as powerful as this or the Tempest Flurry, but if it's fun, and I absolutely like fun things. I've seen somebody talking about Impending Doom, I think it was. If you have any suggestions for new builds for me to mess around with, maybe something fast or something quirky, let me know in the comments below as well. If you have any questions about the build or any experiences you'd like to share on how this build was for you, leave that in the comments as well. It really helps the channel grow, guys. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, guys.